In just 120 seconds, 24 nautical miles off the coast of Venezuela, the USS Gerald R. Ford will confront Caracas with a deterrent that will shake the 21st century. This is more than a show of force. It is a precise, calculated chess move designed to remind the world that every decision matters and the consequences are unstoppable. Beneath the USS Gerald R. Ford's show of force lies a legal and strategic challenge. Caracas has unilaterally declared its entire 200 nautical mile economic zone a restricted military area, even though the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea recognizes only 12 nautical miles as sovereign territory. This puts the U.S. Navy in a delicate position. It must operate carefully in international waters to assert freedom of navigation without being portrayed as the aggressor. This legal trap is then amplified by a brutal physical reality. The Caribbean Sea here is an acoustic nightmare. Shifting layers of water temperature called thermoclines act as invisible walls, bending and distorting sonar pings. For the advanced listening gear of an American destroyer, it's like searching for a whisper inside a hall of mirrors. And lurking within that acoustic fog is the perfect ambush weapon, the German-built Type 209 diesel-electric submarine. Running on silent battery power, it is a ghost in the machine able to lie motionless beneath a thermocline and use the wreck of an old cargo ship to mask its acoustic signature. From that position, the Venezuelan sub is less than 5 minutes from killing distance. The threat on the surface is even more insidious. Venezuela is not using warships. Instead, it deploys a wall of armed fishing trawlers and Coast Guard cutters in a game of high-stakes chicken. Their goal is not to fight. It is to create an accident. If a small boat deliberately veers into the path of a multi-billion-dollar American warship, the U.S. captain faces an international court for maritime manslaughter. The entire mission collapses under legal and political pressure. Venezuela calculated every angle, the law, the physics, and the media narrative. They created a problem with no apparent solution. They just did not account for a single variable. A variable flying at 30,000 feet about to rewrite the entire board. That variable is a P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, and it has already begun its work. Far below the Venezuelan Type 209 submarine has been holding its position for 48 hours. For 2 days, its crew has operated in near total silence, running on battery power listening. Its mission is not to sink the carrier. It is to steal its soul, the unique acoustic signature of the USS Ford, a priceless piece of intelligence that could be sold to America's adversaries. The submarine is a ghost waiting for the perfect moment to record its prize. Yet its silence is a countdown. Its batteries are dying. Soon it must snorkel, raise a small air intake tube to the surface to run its diesel engines and recharge. It is a moment of extreme vulnerability, and that is the moment the P-8 has been waiting for. From high above, the aircraft deploys a pattern of sonobuoys, but the acoustic clutter from a nearby shipping lane creates a maddening puzzle of false contacts. These sensitive listening devices are not searching for the sub itself. They are listening for the faint gasp of air from its snorkel. Once the P-8 confirms the sub's general area through painstaking analysis, the USS Ramage, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, makes its move. Its commander makes a calculated, difficult decision. He activates the low-frequency active sonar. This is how the U.S. Navy turns a search into a confirmation. A single bone-jarring ping of immense energy radiates through the water, penetrating the thermocline as if it were glass. Inside the steel hull of the Type 209, the ping is not a sound. It is a physical concussion, a sledgehammer strike against a steel bell that reverberates through every frame and bulkhead. The acoustic pressure is so intense, it can disorient a crew and damage sensitive electronics. That sound is the U.S. Navy's death headlight. It is a calculated act of psychological warfare, forcing the Venezuelan commander to make an impossible choice: stay silent and endure the incapacitating noise, or move to escape it, revealing his exact position and ending his mission. The American message is delivered without a single word. Your stealth is broken. Your only weapon is gone. Now surface and go home. With the underwater threat neutralized, the chess match moves to the sky. As the USS Ford holds its course, a final desperate gambit unfolds. 2 Venezuelan Su-30 Mk2 flankers, Russia's premier air superiority fighter, scream towards the carrier group. They are armed with Kh-31 anti-ship missiles weapons capable of reaching the Ford in under 4 minutes. This is no longer a legal game. This is a direct military challenge. The lead Venezuelan pilot, initially relying on his passive infrared search and track IRST system to avoid detection, grows impatient. He activates his fire control radar and achieves a hard lock on an E-2D Hawkeye, the carrier group's airborne command center. On the pilot's head-up display, a red rectangle frames the American aircraft. Under any normal rules of engagement, this is a hostile act, a declaration of intent to kill. It grants the American commander full legal authority to eliminate the threat. Yet no order to fire is given. The Americans do not want to start a war. They want to win one without firing a shot. The Venezuelan pilot believes his powerful radar gives him the advantage. He does not realize his radar is also a lighthouse, broadcasting his exact position, heading, and intent to everyone listening. And one aircraft is listening very closely, an EA-18G Growler. This is not a fighter jet, it is a weaponized supercomputer designed to dominate the electromagnetic spectrum. The Growler does not fire missiles, it fires data. It unleashes a non-lethal yet utterly devastating electronic assault. It does not simply jam the Su-30's radar, it assaults the pilot's senses. The system floods the Venezuelan pilot's sensors with thousands of false signals, creating a phantom army of American aircraft appearing from every direction. On his screen, the single clear target of the Hawkeye vanishes, replaced by a blizzard of digital noise. The KH-31 missile, now blind, becomes a useless piece of metal hanging from his wing. Then comes the final psychological checkmate. While the Growler blinded the flankers, two FA-18 Super Hornets flying with their own radars off were vectored in by the distant Hawkeye. They approached the Su-30s from their blind spots completely undetected. After the Growler's attack is complete, the Hornets momentarily switch their radars on. Inside the Venezuelan cockpit, the radar warning receiver does not beep. It shrieks, a piercing, unbroken tone that signals an immediate, unavoidable missile lock from point-blank range. The pilot glances to his left. There, just off his wingtip, sits an American Super Hornet. Its pilot gives a slow, deliberate nod. The AIM-9X Sidewinder missile hanging from its pylon is already locked onto the heat of his engine. No shots are fired, no words are exchanged. The message is absolute. We saw you, we blinded you, the game is over. The Venezuelan pilot breaks off his attack. It is not a tactical retreat, it is a surrender. Inside his cockpit, the piercing shriek of the missile lock warning is gone, replaced by an unnerving silence. He has just experienced the digital equivalent of a ghost placing a gun to his head. One moment he was the hunter, confident in his top-tier Russian hardware. The next, he was prey, completely defenseless, spared only by the mercy of an opponent he never even saw coming. Back at Venezuelan Naval Command, the chaotic scene mirrors the pilot's confusion. Their screens, once tracking a clear American fleet, are now filled with conflicting, nonsensical data. Their submarine, their ace in the hole, has gone silent, not because it's hiding, but because it was forced to. Their air superiority fighters, the pride of their Air Force, have been rendered blind and impotent. The entire carefully constructed legal and military trap has been dismantled piece by piece without a single casualty. Analysts in Caracas will spend months dissecting what happened. They will realize the Americans never played their game. While Venezuela was focused on the physical board ships, subs, and planes, the U.S. Navy was playing a three-dimensional chess match in the electromagnetic spectrum. They will simulate the unplayed move, what would have happened if their pilot had launched his KH-31. The answer is a catastrophic failure. The missile, already disconnected from its guidance by the Growler's attack, would have flown blind. Within seconds, it would have been vaporized by the carrier group's layered defenses. 10 minutes after that, the airbase the Su-30 launched from would have been methodically erased by Tomahawk cruise missiles. The true lesson for Caracas is not one of firepower, but of dimension. They learned that buying advanced hardware is simply an entry fee. The ability to make that hardware function in a hostile electronic environment is the real game. They brought a knife to a gunfight only to discover the Americans were fighting with the laws of physics. The USS Gerald R. Ford never altered its course. It sailed through the so-called restricted zone as if it were open sea, because it was. The United States won not by breaking the rules, but by enforcing them with a technological dominance so complete that Venezuela's only move was to remove their pieces from the board. The message delivered in the Caribbean that day was cold and clear. The ocean has no room for amateurs. You can bluff with warships, but you cannot bluff a sonar ping. And you cannot challenge a superpower that commands not only the waves, but the very energy that defines modern warfare. The Venezuelan ships and aircraft returned to port not with battle scars, but with something far more demoralizing, irrefutable proof of their own technological irrelevance. Their crews are not defeated, they are obsolete. They return with a story not of a fight they lost, but of a fight they were never even allowed to enter. And with valuable electronic and acoustic intelligence, a stark reminder that even a bloodless victory reveals capabilities to an observant enemy. For Caracas, the most chilling realization is that this entire encounter, a moment of national crisis for them, was likely just another Tuesday for the sailors aboard the USS Ford. A routine, perfectly executed drill demonstrating a level of integrated warfare they cannot comprehend, let alone counter. This, however, was never truly about Venezuela. The events in the Caribbean were a message broadcast on a global frequency. The real audience was in Beijing, in Moscow, in Tehran. In an era of gray zone conflict where nations prod and test boundaries without declaring open war, the United States just provided a masterclass in how it draws the line. It demonstrated that its response to asymmetric legal and military challenges is not clumsy brute force, but an overwhelming and invisible technological dominance. The lesson was for any adversary who believes they can outsmart the U.S. Navy with clever tactics. The message was that America's kill chain begins long before a missile ever leaves the rail. It begins in the electromagnetic spectrum, a dimension where they are the undisputed masters. What this encounter truly revealed is the core philosophy of 21st century American naval power. It is not about the strength of individual platforms, but the unbreakable synergy of the network. The Su-30 may be a formidable fighter, and the Type 209 a stealthy submarine, but they are islands. The U.S. Navy operates as a continent. Through systems like the Naval Integrated Fire Control Counter-Air and INFCCA, the P-8, the Growler, the destroyers, and the Hawkeye all function as a single distributed consciousness. The Hawkeye becomes the eyes for a Super Hornet flying blind. The destroyer's sonar data is used by the P-8's weapon system. It is less a collection of ships and planes, and more a single networked organism of silicon and steel thinking and acting as one. It is the difference between having a powerful computer and owning the entire internet. This technological ecosystem is not autonomous. It is wielded by the most critical component of American sea power, the training. The real weapon is the mind of a commander who can process legal, kinetic, and electronic data in seconds to make a winning decision. It is the muscle memory of a pilot who can fly wingtip to a hostile aircraft and establish dominance with a simple nod. The trillions invested in the hardware are meaningless without the thousands of hours invested in the human software. This is the ultimate return on investment. The cost of a carrier strike group is astronomical, but its purpose is not just to win wars. It is to create a sphere of influence so powerful, so technologically unassailable, that potential wars are suffocated in their infancy. In the end, no shots were fired, no international laws were broken, and no headlines were made about a battle. And that is the most profound statement of power. It is a reminder that in modern warfare, the most decisive victory is the one your opponent doesn't even realize they have lost until it is far too late. The loudest message is often the one delivered in complete silence. What do you think? Should the U.S. have taken a firmer stance? Or was this the perfect approach? Share your thoughts in the comments below.